Okay, so we had 2 new trailers drop this week, and I kind of think they went in opposite directions. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Jonathan here, your host at QuickBird Gaming. I appreciate you tuning in for another episode of QuickBird News. This one's going to be a little quick and dirty. I normally film these on Saturday night for release on Sunday morning. It's Friday night now. I have to go on the road tomorrow, so I won't be here for Saturday. So this news week is just going to cover from Sunday to Friday, and hopefully there won't be any big games or big gaming news stories that break on Saturday that I miss. As always, each news story is going to be time-stamped in the description box, so feel free to scroll down there and look for a story that interests you. We're going to talk about Obsidian's future plans, which apparently doesn't include an Outer Worlds 3. We're going to look at an MMO that has crashed and burned this week in spectacular fashion, and we'll check in with Highguard one more time. But before we do that, we're going to go check out and take a look at what people are saying about these trailers. Okay, I'm going to start with this Games Radar article from Thursday the 5th. Horizon Hunters gathering everything you need to know about Guerrilla's new co-op action game. Essentially, this is going to be a multiplayer game taking place in the Horizon, Zero Dawn, and Forbidden West universe. The trailer itself is very long, so I'm not going to play it. I will link it so you can go check it out. But basically, I think it's up for 3 players working cooperatively, fighting dinosaurs, and you have this cast of characters here, all of whom appear to have different fighting style, though we didn't get what I thought was really good gameplay footage from the trailer. And it looks like it's going to come out on PS5 and for PlayStation, and for PC, I should say. No release date yet. So this was just kind of a first look. My first impressions, surface level, was okay. Did anybody ask for this? You know, people who are playing in Horizon really want to play as Aloy. She's been the face of that franchise, and she looks like she's going to be a non-player present character in this game. The second impression was, here we go again with this cartoony, Fortnite-ish, pastel puke, color palette type of gameplay. I'm getting this so tiresome seeing so many games try and adapt this. I'm not going to go out and say that because Concord did, this one's doomed to Concord's fate, but I don't think it's a good sign. I don't think it's a good look. You know, this reminds me a little bit of the game Dauntless, which did shut down. It didn't shut down because of the color scheme and the art style. It shut down because of over-aggressive monetization. Now, I'm going to go all the way back to this article from Push Square from back in May of last year, and they say, like it or loathe it, this is why Sony won't stop trying to make live service games for PlayStation 5. And when you scroll down in this article, they say for the fiscal year as a whole, microtransaction pocketed PlayStation a cool $9 billion in revenue, 30% of the division's entire income. That was for the fiscal year ending in March of 2025. So this game, it's screwed. It's going to be a microtransaction hell. I can practically guarantee it. Sony has not tried to, they are trying so hard to tap into this live service market. And even though games like Concord have failed, and I think Highguard is kind of in the middle of failing. You know, they only see the arc raiders, and they don't look at why those games are successful versus the games that are not. And on a superficial level, so far, this game looks like the games that haven't been successful more than the ones that are. Now, a lot can happen. We don't know until the gameplay comes out. The gameplay could be absolutely phenomenal, in which case the game will probably do well. The first impression was not good. Now, for an example of how you do a trailer right, I turned to this Insider Gaming article from Monday the 2nd of February. Resident Evil Requiem live-action trailer is as tragic as it is terrifying. Again, I'm not going to play it here. I want you to go check it out, but I will link it below. It's about 3.5 minutes, if I remember correctly, and it is a live-action trailer for Resident Evil Requiem, which it comes out in 3 weeks, and it is amazing. Whoever is running the marketing and the PR over at Capcom, give that person a raise because they are doing everything right. This is chilling. It's heartbreaking. It's got more emotion packed in it than half the movies that hit the theater these days. There's plenty of familiar sights. If you listen closely, you might hear a few other familiar things in the backgrounds. So anyway, go check this out. Like I said, Resident Evil, I think, comes out on the 27th, so less than 3 weeks by the time this video goes up. And I think they are built this to a fever pitch. So I really hope the game is good and people love it because expectations are really high. All right, now I'd like to turn to this article from IGN from Tuesday, the 3rd of February. Obsidian's The Outer Worlds 2 underperformed and there won't be a third. Avowed also missed targets, but its universe will continue. They say that they have no plans to continue The Outer Worlds with the third game. They revealed that last year's Outer Worlds 2 underperformed. A sequel's not in development. Avowed also missed targets, but they still have more plans from its world of Aora, the same setting of Pillars of Eternity. They do note Grounded 2 was a hit, but it was also the smallest of the games and is still technically in early access, if I remember correctly. They say in 2025, Xbox trumpeted the fact Obsidian was about to launch 3 games in 8 months. Avowed in February, Grounded 2 in July, and Outer Worlds 2 in October. Josh Sawyer, the design studio, said spacing these releases out helps the company manage its resources and not burn everyone out. It's not good to release the 3 games in the same year. It's a result of things going wrong. I wonder how many people higher than him in Microsoft ignored him when he was telling them that. Anyway, they talk a little bit more about the development of these games and the problems they ran into. And basically, they have yet to announce their next project. They don't have anything else in the pipeline that has been announced yet. Now, Obsidian is part of Microsoft. They're part of the Borg there and have been absorbed by it. So I don't think they're in danger of shutting down anytime soon. However, this is 2 high-profile, I wouldn't call them failures, but at least disappointments for the studio. And so and without anything, upcoming to generate hype, they're going to have to dig deep here. Now, they say in the article they do want to commit to shorter development times, but we'll just have to see. So anyway, if you enjoyed Outer Worlds and Outer Worlds 2, I'm sorry, that will be the end of the line. If you enjoyed Avowed, we may yet see some more in that IP. So time will tell. All right, I got one for you. This IGN article from Monday the 2nd, newly released MMO Ashes of Creation left in tatters as senior team quits and management issues a layoff warning, and now Steam is reportedly investigating. As for how all this ended, I don't really have the words. I do. I know how this ended. It ends with this company imploding and its game being delisted from Steam. I'll scroll down here and it says, the future of the newly released Ashes of Creation is in doubt after its leadership team quit following a dispute with the management board, and now Steam is investigating. It was funded by a $3.2 million Kickstarter campaign back in 2017. After significant interest and excitement from MMO fans, Ashes of Creation finally released in December as a $50 early access game. However, by the end of January, the game's director had quit in protest along with most of the game's senior development team after claiming the management board had to do things he could not ethically support. And as you scroll down this article, it's people quit, people quit, people quit, people quit, and it's just, the whole thing is just imploding. Oh, and it gets better too. If I go to this PC Games In article from Wednesday the 3rd, Ashes of Creation dev alleges none of us are receiving our final paychecks. So essentially all that money that went into development is just gone. The studio is completely collapsing under its own weight, and everybody's out of a job, and the game is borked. Now, if you want to see how bad it's borked, we'll go over to the Steam page and look at that. Overwhelmingly negative. 14% in the last 13 days positive. 1 out of 7. 6 out of 7 are giving it a negative. 35% for the overall score. And as you scroll down, it's still in early access, but there is nowhere to buy it. Steam has delisted it. And I mean, the comments are just horrible. We show the graph and oh my God, this game has just gone into the absolute shitter. And it's a shame, actually. MMOs are having a hard enough time as it is now. And then something like this, you have a lot of hype, you have years of development, gets a huge Kickstarter, and at the end, it just flops on the worse than a dead fish on a pier. It's a shame. Okay, now we're going to talk about Highguard again for a minute. I know, everybody's saying, here we go again. Well, not exactly. I'm going to start with this PC Gamer article from Tuesday the 3rd. Highguard's 5v5 raid is here to stay after the developer noticed that half the player base jumped over to its experimental mode at the weekend. Apparently, there was a fairly even split between 3v3 and 5v5. This has been one of the big criticisms. They experimented with the mode over the weekend, but maintained it wasn't meant to be a replacement for standard mode. It seems like the larger parties proved so successful that Wildguard is turning it into its own permanent game mode. And you can see the tweet here where they say that 5v5 raid mode is here to stay. I feel like this is something that they could have caught in their alpha or beta or even early access if they had done that. You know, I talked about this extensively last week, where there was no announcement of this until December 18th. 5 weeks later, they dropped this game without much marketing, without a whole lot of developer diaries or looks at the gameplay or anything. They put it out there, and it just did not resonate with the majority of players. I think this is a good indicator to other studios. This should be a lesson learned that if you're going to shadow drop something, don't do it if you are invested a ton of money in this, because you could lose it. And if you're going to do this, it's better off with an IP where you have a built-in fan base or an established audience, kind of like Obsidian shadow dropping the Oblivion remake, not Obsidian, Bethesda, shadow dropping the Oblivion remake last year. It just kind of appeared out of nowhere. But they had a built-in, didn't spend a ton of money on it, and they had a built-in fan base who was eager to eat that up. You know, the guys who dropped Silksong, basically that announcement came, 2 weeks before it released, but people had been waiting for that game for years. There was no built-up anticipation for Highguard, and I think if you're going to do that, if you're going to have a game, if you have a game nobody knows about, you better put it through some workouts to figure out where the problems are. Now I'm going to go over to the Steam charts real quick, and you can see it's up to about 44% positive reviews, so almost 50-50 now, as the people who like it have stuck with it and started to kind of talk it up and everything. And as I drop down here, this chart, I'm recording this video, this is about 8:30 on Mountain Time on Friday night. You can see it's had an uptick. I go to the 1 week total. You can see I'll go 48 hours. You can see it's had an uptick for Friday as people who are getting off work and are getting into it for the weekend are playing. And so it's actually recovered a little bit from its lows, because it was sitting at, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 players through the week. And it got up to over 8,000 here on Friday night. So maybe a little bit of recovery. I still maintain that the game is not holding on to a large enough established player base to be monetarily viable in the long run. I just don't think they're going to bring in enough money to pay for development, to keep servers running, and to keep paying their people who are working on it. But that is what it is. For people who are enjoying it, I'm glad you're enjoying it. If they listen to the fans and they keep adding more material, more maps, more modes, that'll be good. Enjoy it while it lasts. And from the no shit department comes this article from Eurogamer from Thursday the 5th. Valve admits its Steam Machine and Steam Frame will be delayed due to RAM and storage price surges, now expected to arrive in the first half of 2026. They said Valve time strikes again. 3 months, okay. They've posted a blog. The new hardware was meant to arrive in the first quarter of this year, but has now been revisited to the first half of this year due to the memory and storage shortages you've likely heard about. And they go into a little bit talking about how the prices on some of these things have gone up and how much they think it's going to change, be delayed. So instead of coming by March, now saying coming by June. I don't see them getting this thing out for less than about $900. And if they do less than that, I don't see how it's going to be competitive with PS5 or Xbox. So we're just going to have to wait and see how there's still no word. I still don't see a definitive word on pricing yet. But if you were looking forward to seeing this and checking it out, it's going to be delayed. And I can practically guarantee you, the longer this goes, the more expensive it's going to be. Finally, I want to close with this article from Games Radar that was published on Wednesday, the 4th of February. Marvel Rivals is the best thing to happen to Overwatch. Fans react to Blizzard's big changes and 10 new heroes thanks to NetEase's shooter for healthy competition. Blizzard Entertainment yesterday announced major plans for Overwatch 2, which is now just Overwatch again, because why the hell not? If you didn't know, they scrubbed Overwatch 2 and are just calling it Overwatch since the original Overwatch has been taken offline. And fans are thanking Marvel Rivals for lighting a fire under the hero shooter subgenre. The biggest news is that we're getting 10 new characters this year instead of the usual 3, 5 of which are coming next week. Blizzard's also kickstarting an annual storyline that'll unfold in animated shorts, in-game comics, along with sweeping changes to the UI, progression perks, every other corner of the game. So they're really stepping up. And one player writes in response, Marvel Rivals literally saved this game. This is why competition is good. Glad to see them seriously lock in. Might actually bring me back for the first time in years. I'm going to get flailed for saying this, but Marvel Rivals is the best thing to happen to Overwatch. Twitch streamer Christopher J3 Pavlov tweets that the best part of Overwatch, stepping up in a big way, is that Marvel Rivals will see all the big changes and then want to improve themselves. Then you have a back and forth of improvements and updates which will benefit the players of both games. And I think I said this in a Quickbird News some time ago, that this is what needed to happen. This is great for the players, for people who love this genre. These games that are competing to be better is ultimately going to be better for the players. And that's all I want to see out of this industry. I want to see it better for the consumers. So this is a good sign, and I really love to see it. And I hope the players, for people who play Overwatch and for Marvel Rivals, get to enjoy a lot better content because of this. Like I said, I love to see it. All right, friends, I'm going to leave this one here. Like I said, a little quicker and dirtier this week, but that's okay. If you enjoyed this video, please consider doing the YouTube stuff. Leave a like on it. Drop a comment down below and let me know what you thought of any of the stories I covered this week. If you think I missed a major story, let me know that too. I do read all comments. I try to respond to as many of them as I can. And even if they're negative, I just love the discourse around gaming. So let me know what you think. And if you would like to give me your subscription, I would love to take that. It's just one click. Helps me out a whole bunch and keep you alerted to any new Quickbird videos coming out. Got some other things coming up for the channel. I finished my playthrough of Stray. The playlist is on my channel now, and it's in order from the beginning. So if you wanted to check that out, it was an interesting game. It was something I hadn't quite played anything like that before, so that was different. And like I said, I have other things coming out, and I will be back next week with another Quickbird News article to talk about the week's gaming news, and hopefully nothing will interfere with that. Things with family will go well, and I'll be able to get back in time and take care of that. So until then, I appreciate you tuning in. Lots of gaming stuff happening out there, so stay tuned. Until then, you all go out there, live your best lives, and you all stay gaming.